Hello, this is Dr. Kurt Stahura. I'm the Niagara Global Tourism Institute Scholar and Director of Research down here at the NGTI. We are a mere 5-6 blocks from the Canadian-US border, which is probably going to be part of the discussion today, and as it relates to tourism. And this is one of our tourism shorts. We're here with Nick Hurd, who is a business owner and also holds a lofty position. I'll allow you to talk about that as it relates to the Niagara Falls Downtown Business Group that you're associated with, and we're going to talk about projections for the up-and-coming tourism season. Welcome.
Thank you. And so as Dr. Kurt had said, I am the chairman of the Downtown Niagara Falls Business Association, and I'm also the CEO of Niagara Falls Adventures.
The Niagara Falls Adventures is a wonderful, wonderful business in that it provides walking tours for people that come to the area. And I guess, first of all, let's talk about the COVID initiatives now that we're creeping out of it. And how did your company do during the COVID times and in light of the restrictions and perceptions of tourists that come to Niagara Falls?
Yeah, I think one of the beautiful things that happened is as people wanted to come to Niagara Falls, that bridge, it was restricting people for whatever reason, whether they weren't allowed to go over at all or whether there was the vaccine and rapid test requirement to be able to get across.
And the changing policies and procedures. It was kind of a week-to-week thing at times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it allowed, even though there was less people traveling at the time, more of the populace that was traveling was staying on the U.S. side. So it was one of those things where we were affected, but the effect wasn't as hard as it was other places because there was plenty of reasons to encourage people to come here. Whether it be it's a natural place, it's outside, it's easy drive location from several cities. And I think with our business specifically, the way that we're outside, it's a guided tour, but you're, again, outside. We were social distancing during that. It gave us an edge over, say, bus tour companies.
Sure. Did you see that your demographics shifted at all during the COVID season?
Yeah, absolutely. International travel pretty much ceased, and we had a lot more U.S. citizens that were traveling and coming here. As you started to see restrictions be lifted for specific countries, mostly in like Central America, Caribbean area, starting to see more of those people coming over. But Europe, Asia, very minimal.
Which has been the traditional groups that have come here, India and China in particular.
Yeah, we get a lot of people from those regions and kind of shifted into more U.S. citizens.
And do we expect for some of the traditional visitors to come back this year, or is that going to be down the road a little bit?
I think we'll start to see some of it. I guess a lot of it depends on what restrictions end up getting lifted by their own countries, as well as the U.S. restrictions getting lifted. I do think that we're going to still continue to see this trend of U.S. citizens coming, especially with gas prices. Now it's a whole different ball game. Flights are going to start to become a little bit more expensive. So I think, again, that drivable market is going to really sustain us this year.
Okay. The COVID dynamic is interesting in that it created more outdoor enthusiasts. So those who weren't outdoor or inclined toward adventure tourism, which is kind of the segment in which that falls, it created some new adventure tourists. Do you see that continuing?
I think so. I think that as people, we have this draw to nature,
Sure.
to be outside, and there's going to be a lot of people now that have reinvigorated that within themselves. They're going to be continuing to crave coming to a place that's more natural.
Sure. Are you starting to see different generations within families traveling together. There has tended to be a push toward grandparents, parents, and kids kind of traveling together. Are you starting to see that in your walking tours more now than before?
I have, yeah. I've seen quite a bit of families, multi-generational families, starting to come down. So it's been kind of exciting. You get to see different relationships than just parents with children. Now you're seeing a lot more of grandparents with grandchildren, and it's kind of fun.
That's great. You know, some of the, as a scholar, I tend to study trends in tourism. What's interesting is that there are trends toward younger tourists, the 20-somethings that travel with backpacks and are starting to venture out a little bit. Are you starting to see any movement in that group?
Yes, for sure. I think that it was a large part of the demographic that was traveling prior to restrictions being lifted.
Sure.
They were the people that were a little bit more adventurous and out to go and do something. Some people getting laid off or whatever their situation was at the time, and figured, you know what, why not now?
Right. Do you see that generation continuing to travel in robust ways? And I guess the follow-up question would be, how do you reach that group? Because I know that you're very, very inclined toward marketing and getting and messaging, and you're very, very good at that. So how has that shifted given all the changes that are taking place within this segment?
Well, I think, it's just kind of that thing of backpacking Europe.
Right.
It's always been a thing, and now people are starting to realize, why not backpack where I live? Why not? I mean, the United States has so much to offer, so that trend is starting to switch from Europe more so over to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
People starting to explore their own home. So that, for one, has been a big impact on this.
And noticeable.
Yes. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of your
The
question?
second part of the question is, how has your marketing toward that
yes.
demographic group shifted, given that you're recognizing that there are shifts?
Yes. So one thing that I utilize well is technology in our marketing.
Yeah.
And I think that is the same demographic that's out there right now. Is everybody, now that COVID is over, or getting to that point, they're familiar now with QR codes.
Right.
And so we're leaning a lot on QR code marketing. Once people get in destination, to get them connected to our tour. I think the other thing too is backpackers are looking for something affordable, because they're not looking to spend $1,000 a night on a hotel room. They're looking for the $29 a night hostel bed.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as some sort of a tour package in Niagara Falls, we don't have the overhead of a bus or insurance. We do a really good job of making sure that our packages are as affordable as possible. So I think that's really what's leaning towards us getting more of that demographic specifically.
Interesting. Are there specific platforms that you're utilizing to draw that younger demographic in?
So a lot of it's stuff that we were actually designing ourselves, our own website platform. The way that we market our QR codes around town, we're in the process of creating a one-stop shop for all attractions. So that's really what people are wanting right now, is they don't want to bounce from this site to this site to this site to figure out all the things that they can do. They want to go to one spot, something like a TripAdvisor.
Sure.
Now, what's nice about ours, like our product, what we're working on, is it's Niagara Falls specific. So you don't have to navigate all the different things. Also, we're getting in front of you the major attractions that you're looking to do. So you don't have to worry so much about, is this random restaurant that's not really in the footprint that you're looking to go to, is that listed? And it kind of convolutes what there is to do.
Sure.
Also, we're not pay to play. We're really just pushing what is the best stuff to do. Like, if you're in Niagara Falls, what should I do? And not who paid me the most money to market what they want you to do.
Right. Fair enough. The as you're seeing all these trends, and I know you're very creative when it comes to going about reaching the new markets that are evolving, what are some of the opportunities that you might see? I know you're always thinking about the next phase of your business. Are there some creative ideas that might be floating around in your head that you can give us broad sweeping strokes about? But what's interesting for our viewers is, given the changes, given the analytics, which I know you look at, given the conversations you're having with other small businesses, what are some needs that might present themselves, and how might you leverage those things?
I think something you just said is kind of the key to that, working with other small businesses. Without giving away too much of the secret sauce, collaboration is something that lacks in community in general. I think communication skills are something that everybody really could be working on. And so what I'm trying to do is create more of a collaboration amongst the different businesses in the area.
Sure.
And if I can offer products that don't only benefit myself, but they also are benefiting other small businesses, now we're getting to a point where you have a product that people are really interested in, because I'm not just getting this one thing. Now I'm getting a vast majority of the stuff that I really want in one place.
Sure. On the adventure theme, given that you have an outdoor, adventure-driven product, are there opportunities for expansion in that area?
In our city?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much potential in Niagara Falls right now. There's a lot of untapped potential. And I think if there's anybody that's interested in starting some sort of business in the area, this is the perfect time to do it, especially with the trend being get back to nature. I think there's never been a better time for it in Niagara Falls than now.
A little bit of a blank canvas.
Exactly.
As a scholar, I always ask this question as somebody who interacts with folks that are about to embark on the next chapter of their lives. What are some of the skill sets that you think are necessary for those who are interested in tourism or hospitality that may not have even existed, or may not have been a need as recently as 3 years ago, because it's a post-COVID world? Can you think of any things that
When you say that, are you referring to as an employee or as somebody that's looking to be an entrepreneur?
Well, why don't we start as an employee, and then we'll answer the next question after that.
Okay, so I think as an employee, a big part of it is understanding those soft skills, being able to read a room. We've been in a very polarizing time in American history, and you don't know what someone's opinion is on a specific topic.
Right.
So sometimes you have to be able to read a situation very quickly and be able to tread lightly around it. I also think with it being polarizing, a lot of people are more sensitive than they have been.
Sure.
So that, I think, would be the biggest thing, is understanding people's needs and being able to help meet their needs quicker.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my biggest thing.
Providing an experience that's almost customized for each and every single person.
Exactly. And so when our guides go out there, that's one of the things that we train them on, is understand people, where are they from, be able to connect to them quickly. The tours that I was doing before, were 6-hour tours.
Mm-hmm.
So you were with them for the whole day. You would spend lunch with these people. You would know who their grandkids were. You had an opportunity to really get to know them. And the tours that we're offering now are an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And most of that time, you're talking. So you have a lot less of an opportunity to get to know the people, but you still want to make that connection to them, because people don't want to be a number. They don't want to be corralled. feel like a lot of people have just felt like a number lately, and we want people to get back to that point where they're feeling as an individual.
Sure. And before we get to the next question on the entrepreneur thing, do you feel like the 6-hour tours have legs, as it were? Or do you feel like the shorter tours are probably going to be the way that most people want to experience certain activities?
Well, what I'll say is there's those two different types of tours,
Right.
and you know which one I'm in.
Yes.
So that
I think that the attention span in general and the experience in general, bite-sized pieces.
bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, to the other question that you actually raised, if there are people who aspire to be entrepreneurs at a time when there are boundless opportunities, as much as your creative brain will allow, what are some of the skill sets that you think are necessary, or what would you share with our viewers if they wanted to venture out on their own?
I would say definitely do research. I use YouTube a lot. This is where this will be living,
right.
you know. So maybe you're already on that path. That's why you're here right now. So, but yeah, I use YouTube a lot to do research on how to get ahead of trends, and just be consistent. Keep moving forward. It's when you stop having progress that things become to a halt. It's easy to get overwhelmed and feel like there's too much going on, but if you can keep focused and you can keep doing one thing at a time, building and building. Also, don't feel as if you need to jump into being $1 million business right off the bat. Some people try to become McDonald's without starting where McDonald's was.
Right.
You know, and I think that's kind of what kills people. People have this grand idea of what they want to be.
The ultimate end game.
Yes, but you need to work your way there. You know, I might want to be Disney World here, you know, but I don't have Disney World money.
Right. I also think that you have done an amazing job of navigating pitfalls that are inevitable. What are some of the pitfalls that you've experienced that have, the proverbial 5 stitches in, 1 stitch back, 6 stitches in, 2 stitches back? What are some of the back stitches that you've experienced or encountered? Because it's not a linear process.
No.
It's sort of a meandering one.
Yeah. I think, well, again, another one of those skills that's important to entrepreneurs is don't be so set in your ways that you're not willing to adjust. That would be big.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 specific kind of shortfalls that I can think of.
Okay.
So the first one was when I first started, and I would sell tours online, but when you first start anything, you need to build your SEO, you need to build your reach, build what platforms you're selling on, etc. We weren't selling 20 people per tour. I would sell 2 people here, and then 4 hours later I'd have another 4 people booked. So what I would do is I would go out, and then I would take advantage of some of these other opportunities that there are for entrepreneurs, and I would go drive Lyft. So I knew that I had some sort of fallback to get myself through while I was working on, at the time, what would have been considered my side hustle.
Sure.
It was actually my main hustle, and Lyft was my side hustle, but the side hustle had to support the main hustle. The second downfall I had, and I think a lot of people felt this, is I hired 3 new tour guides. I was ready to expand the business, and literally the week after that was starting of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
And so I had talked to these people, and I convinced them to come and work for me, and these are the best tour guides in the business. I just convinced them to leave the comfort of the businesses that they were at, and thankfully, I guess I did a good enough job in the first place that these guys said, you know what, people are going to be coming at a minimal rate right now,
Sure.
but we'd rather continue with you and help you with your minimal rate than the other companies that we were at. And I would have talks with them throughout the whole, like, the beginning process when people weren't really traveling, where we were still allowed to be in business, but people weren't really traveling. And they would reassure me, hey, listen, I'm out here. I have 6 people on tour, which is not a huge number for a tour guide. He's like, but that guy over there, he has 4. He's like, he's working for the company I used to work for. He's like, I can't downfall you. You've provided me with more customers today than I would have had if I was still over there.
Right.
And with me being over here, that guy, he has 4 instead of 0.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been sent home and told, sorry, we don't have anything for you. So thankfully, I've even seen a lot of our, I guess they're considered competitors, but they're getting back. The reason I don't consider them competitors is because I feel these other companies, if they can put out a good product and people go home and say, hey, I had a great time in Niagara
Good for
Falls.
everybody.
Yeah.
Reviews are reviews.
They're going to come back to Niagara Falls,
Yeah.
and sometimes they're going to book mine.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I can't thank you enough. I think the projections for the up and coming year, as you suggest, are looking up and up.
Yeah.
And thanks so much for being here. And thank you for viewing this. We thank Nick Hurd, and we look forward to seeing you again on one of our next tourism shorts. Thank you very much.